Clarity for exhausted people of our nation mired in toxic partisanship. Left versus right. Us versus them. While we pay to keep our politicians fighting, how do we, the people, rise up and solve the great challenges of our time? We do it by embracing freedom and liberty. There may be no such thing as a free lunch, but this hour is as close as it gets. Welcome to A Free Solution.
All right, welcome everyone to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today. Thank you so much for joining us. We're here on WYSL. We're live till 1 p.m., joined by our friends from the Liberty Show. And because we're live, you can participate in the show if you're listening. Online, though. The phone lines are tied up today, but online, leave us your comments, leave us your notes, your feedback, your questions, whatever you want to do. We're joined by our friends from the Liberty Show today. We're joined by Tim Smith and Patrick Sweet. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you, kind sir.
Yeah, so the three of us had a good discussion. Well, on the last couple of Liberty shows, there have been a couple episodes since then, but the one that's going to be airing on WYSL on Saturday and Sunday at 7 p.m. is on immigration. So make sure you catch it there. And if you're outside the listening area, you can always go to WYSL1040.com, catch the podcast there, or just search for The Liberty Show on any podcasting platform. You can find it there as well. I'm a frequent guest on that program, too, and we always have some great discussions. We had a good one on marijuana like last week that I think is going to be coming out soon, and that's going to be online only. And then this immigration discussion, which the three of us, we got into a very heated discussion over that. And I'm not gonna rehash the whole fight because you got to listen to the whole show to hear what's going down. I held down the more or less open borders position on that show. Like my thoughts on immigration is it should be as easy to go back and forth between the U.S. and Mexico as it is to go back and forth between New York and Pennsylvania. The borders serve a purpose, but it should be easy to go back and forth, and also, eliminate the welfare state still. But I thought, Tim, you had some really great arguments about that, and Patrick, you and I certainly got into it. So, Tim, I'll let you go first, though. Like, I kind of outlined where I'm standing on that, but I think the listeners would be interested to hear a quick summary of some of the stuff that you were talking about. So, Tim, you want to?
Well, again, thank you for having us on. It's always great to be on, Kevin. Shout out to our friend in Liberty, Patrick. Our show was very interesting. And the reason why it was interesting is in order to have this conversation on immigration, it needs to be a bit nuanced. It's not as simple as we should have open or closed borders. You took the standard libertarian point of view that we should open up borders, whereas I took a more nuanced, if you will, point of view that, sure, open borders sounds great. The problem with open borders is that we have a welfare state. And in this welfare state, people like me are stuck paying for folks at the border who choose willy-nilly to cross the border. So yes, I agree. In a perfect world, we should have open borders. But at the end of the day, this is not a perfect world. And I don't want to be stuck paying for someone at the border coming over into our country and getting on a welfare state.
Yeah, I mean that's it in a nutshell. And Patrick, you were making not only that argument, but also like kind of a cultural insecurity argument too. You want to give a super quick summary of like where you're going?
Well, again, thank you for having us, and glad to be on the show again. It was a great discussion we had a few weeks ago, and this may make some of your listeners' blood boil, but I do believe in strong borders and a zero-tolerance policy. And I don't think that's a not compassionate way to be. I think it's actually very compassionate because of the journey that these migrants are making to get to the border. They're in the hands of the cartel. There's death and destruction on the way up here, and it's kind of weak policy that says, hey, if you make it here, you may get in. So that was my point, is that I do believe we need a strong border policy, a zero tolerance. You're going back. If you come up here to the border, you're going back to your country. And it wasn't so much of a cultural point I was trying to make. It was more in line with what Tim was saying, is that recent COVID bill, the $2 trillion, I believe, it's I believe $12 billion of it is to foreign aid. And that puts a big burden on the taxpayer. And we're looking for free solutions. We're looking for freedom and liberty under the thumb of more and more taxes that will go towards supporting these migrants. That's the big picture. What I see going on is just it's not feasible to say we can have open borders, but we don't want to pay for the migrants that come here. You can't have it both ways. You can't have open borders and have millions of people come in that are unskilled, uneducated, and expect them to be able to provide for themselves. There's going to have to be support for them, and that comes at the expense of the taxpayers. So it's a very a good point that you made, that open borders are feasible if we don't subsidize that. But at the same time, I just don't think it's feasible to have open borders and not subsidize it, and subsidize it heavily as a on the backs of taxpayers. So that was the big point I was trying to make. Is a Trump supporter, Trump voter. Yes, I do believe in strong border policy, and at this point, zero tolerance, because that's what you can't fault the migrants for making the journey, right? If they get here, it's a first world country. There's a lot of good in this country. So you can't fault the migrant. You can't demonize them, but it's our government's responsibility to not incentivize that travel, because it's not feasible to have what some project to be 5 million migrants coming to this country by the end of next year. That in of itself could potentially cause not just economic issues, but will they assimilate? Are they going to? You see it happen in places like Sweden, right? We've got no-go zones. If they're unskilled, they don't know the language, the assimilation may not occur. Crime comes, cartels move in, and you got multiple problems. It's not just more of a financial burden the taxpayers are having to go. You're having high crime. You're having cartels running wide swaths of inner cities and so forth. So, big picture, that's what that's the point I was trying to make. As I don't think it's the reason that I believe in strong borders is not because I want I think you made the point, a predominantly white majority.
I didn't accuse you of that, because I accuse you of being a know nothing. Is what I said. So yeah, I was a bit harsh with Patrick, and you guys, again, you can listen to the show, and you know, with what you said though, like, because I think we're all kind of on the same page. It's like the welfare system and the incentives are kind of broken, right? Like, so when we think about like a person who's trying to come and make a better life for themselves, if there are incentives, you know, whether they're from New York State, where we have some incentives here, or from the federal government, yeah, people are going to act on those, right? And if you got an issue with those incentives, like my point of view was more, then be mad at the government. Then don't be mad at the migrants who are just trying to come here and build a better life, and it should be as easy as possible for them to get here. And if we're mad that the government's taking our money and giving it to someone else, then let's be mad at the government. So yeah, we had a great, and actually I want to touch on, we didn't talk about this in the show. We didn't talk about like the Sweden and European situation. What's wild about that too is that like what they do in those countries, the reason why they're so ghettoized is because of government policy, where they like force them to go into government buildings and not work for a while. And if you segregate everyone and you put them in buildings and tell them they can't work, like what does that do to people? What does that do to like their mentality? What does it do for their ability to integrate into that culture? What makes it really difficult? And we don't. Well, go ahead.
What we're seeing now with the lockdowns with COVID, what we're seeing that mentality. Mental health issues are through the roof. If people are not just depressed, they're taking their lives through suicide. And you're right. You got to work. You got to be productive. There's something inherently good about that. To sit at home and collect a paycheck, that's not good for the human psyche. And when you had mentioned that the no-go zones were due to government policies, and they're asking the migrants to not work. Well, you also have to consider, look at what's going on in this country, where we've shifted so many of the traditionally blue-collar manufacturing jobs to places like Mexico, to like China. China's a big one. What exactly are these migrants going to do once they get here? So the exact situation you're seeing in Sweden is going to come here, but it's going to be on a scale that is just we've never seen before because of the numbers of migrants that are coming here. So Sweden, places like that's a test case of what open borders would result in. But you bring it here, the scale of what we'll see would be unbelievable. What would occur here? So I think that Sweden should be a cautionary tale of what an open border policy, migrants coming here in hundreds of thousands and millions. Take a look at what's going on in Sweden. I think you can expect a lot of that here in the States.
Yeah. Well, Patrick, I do disagree with you. I told you, but we're not going to spend the whole show on this because you got to listen to the podcast. We have a great discussion about a lot of this stuff. It gets a bit heated. Kevin, Fortune, and I kind of yell at each other a little bit, but it's all right. It's good. I hope you listen to it and it's entertaining. On WYSL, it'll be airing at 7 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, or you can always catch the podcast as well, WYSL1040.com or anywhere you find podcasts. Thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. When we come back, we're going to talk about, well, maybe we'll talk about that manufacturing stuff with some of Biden's plans in his joint address. We'll talk about that and more here on A Free Solution. We'll be back soon.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at SimpleTech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, SimpleTech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
When you've been seriously injured in a car crash, you need a lawyer who knows how to beat the big insurance companies. Call me and I'll take them on so you can focus on your health and family.
Car crash, call Salino. Salino, call Salino. 888-2020.
Main Street, Rochester.
A message from the National Police Association. It used to be that any able-bodied person would offer to assist a police officer in danger. Now, passers-by are more likely to take a video. There's a better use for your phone when an officer's in trouble. Call 911. Tell the operator where you are and what you see. Then, start your video to provide evidence later. To learn more about how you can assist law enforcement, visit nationalpolice.org. That's nationalpolice.org.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
A free solution.
Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wiltz, your host for today. Thank you so much for joining us. We're joined by our friends from the Liberty Show, Tim Smith and Patrick Sweet. We were talking to immigration in the last segment, and I know, guys, I promised I was going to talk about the Biden joint address, or whatever it was called, the fake State of the Union that he did. But I realized I never gave Tim a chance to respond to what Patrick and I were talking about, and he wanted to say something about the European situation. So I'm going to give Tim a chance to to say that stuff before we move on. So, Tim, what's on your mind, sir?
Well, I will be quick about this. I just want to bring up this point. Patrick brought up that he is a Trump supporter. As we mentioned and brought up in our show that you were on, this is not a partisan issue. At least it shouldn't be a partisan issue. The talking heads would love for us to draw a line in the sand and say we take this position because we're either a Democrat or we're a Republican, a Trump supporter. But this is not a partisan issue. This boils down to, do you want to see Americans suffer or not? And this is what, as what we hit on the previous segment with Sweden. The Swedes understand that you cannot just allow the immigrants to flood the employment market. Because if you allow them to just flood the employment market, what happens is that the Swedes that were born in Sweden, the Swedes that paid their taxes in Sweden, the Swedes that bleed Sweden will suffer because now they have competition from individuals who are not part of Sweden. So this is something that Americans need to realize, is that sure, it sounds great and it sounds like we're doing an awesome altruistic thing by allowing immigrants into this country. But what it does is it will strain the individual Americans in this country because now they will have to compete with foreigners. I just wanted to bring up that point.
All right. Yeah. No. Okay. So it's my show, so I get to respond to it too. Because we talked about this during the other show too. And Tim, let me ask you: do you think the economy is a fixed pie? Is there a limited number of jobs?
Yes, it is a fixed pie, and it's dictated by the government. And we know this because if you look at Biden's, and I know we're going to get into this later on, if we look at Biden's speech to Congress, he tells us what the pie looks like. He tells us that certain individuals will be responsible for paying their quote-unquote fair share. Yes, this is a fixed pie, and it's dictated by regulation and taxes.
No, it's not a fixed pie. I mean, the government would like you to think that too, because then that justifies redistribution. But the fact of the matter is that the economy is always growing and changing all the time, and responding to the needs of a free market, right? So it's not like people are coming here and they're taking jobs, and there's only a fixed number of jobs, and then because they're taking jobs, they aren't available for anyone else anymore. No, when someone comes in, they take jobs. There's now more people around, more services that need to be had. And the fact of the matter is that, particularly in the United States with this situation, the laborers coming in, a lot of times they're taking farm worker jobs that most Americans who have been here for a while, including second and third generations of immigrants, aren't taking anymore. The ones they're competing with the most are usually other immigrants. And I know it happens in some like meat processing plants and factories and whatnot. These folks are coming in and getting jobs, but again, it's not a fixed pie. There's other positions.
So Kevin,
available.
if you don't mind, if I could,
go ahead.
Just cut you in on that. So my mom, we're from Miami, we're from South Florida, but she retired to a very rural area in Florida. This area is known for growing tomatoes and watermelons. The Americans that lived in this county, they were able to earn $100 a day picking watermelons. What the farmers did was they said, hey, we've got these Mexican immigrants, these Honduras immigrants that will do the same work that you're willing to do, and they're willing to accept $50 a day. So you know what happened? The Americans that were picking watermelons at $100 a day, they lost their jobs to Mexicans and Honduran immigrants who were willing to pick watermelons for $50 a day.
Yeah, I got to tell you,
personally,
because
if I could finish my point.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm a commercial real estate investor. I've been doing commercial real estate most of my life. I can personally vouch that when a job site, take for instance, I live in downtown Atlanta, down the street from the new multi-billion-dollar stadium that we built when we had a perfectly fine stadium that was less than 35 years old. Point being is that those jobs did not go to Americans. The reason why those jobs, those construction jobs didn't go to Americans was because the foreigners from Honduras, from Mexico, from Latin America were willing to do the same work for a lot less pay. This isn't something, when we talk about Americans losing jobs, when we talk about Americans needlessly competing in the marketplace for labor, for jobs with foreigners, this isn't an abstract thought. This is something that affects everyday Americans who are working class and poor.
Listen, man, again, not a fixed pie. There are plenty of jobs available. You're able to do that, and you're not owed a job in the first place. I mean, like, you sound like Bernie Sanders to me, because Bernie Sanders said that immigration is a Koch brothers plot. People forget that Bernie Sanders, he talks like you, used to be very anti-immigration for pretty much the same reason that you're stating. But again, they are not taking those jobs any more than if I moved down to Florida and got a digital marketing job. Am I taking a job from someone in Florida? If I'm willing to work at a different pay rate than someone who is native to Florida? No, of course not, because no one is owed that job. Again, people are navigating wages in the markets based on other people in there, too. And it's not just competition from foreign labor. It's also competition within American society, within people who are native to the United States. Again, you're not owed that. It's not fixed. And we can't expect government to try to dictate and tweak what those numbers should be. And it's abhorrent that the government would try to do that constantly and say, well, so many of this number of people who have this degree can come in, and so many people who have this skill set can come in. What does the government know about what the economy needs? People who are in business positions are always trying to find, where can I get these people? The fact of the matter is that, particularly in farm labor, and I'm sure, I wish we could get calls in today, because I'm sure I would, particularly in farm labor, because this area is where WYSL is a big farming community. They are desperate to get people in to be able to work. They have trouble finding labor when there's bigger crackdowns on immigration. I mean, the fact is that our community, our local community, relies on migrant labor to be able to put food on our table. And again, I don't begrudge those people for coming in and wanting to take those opportunities, because right now a lot of Americans just aren't taking those opportunities because there's other stuff available. People want different jobs, and that's fine.
Kevin, the reason why your community is trying to find foreign labor is because they're not willing to pay Americans a working wage. It's that simple.
Yes, the greedy capitalists. No, I mean, they are, though. You can find that job if you want to. Again, I know friends who do that, who they do farming for a living. They go out and do the harvest, do a thing. It's hard work. It's, working 12, 14-hour days during the summer, and you can get paid decently if you want to go and do it. If you want to find a good wage doing that, you absolutely can. The issue ends up being, again, can they get enough labor to actually do this? And again, when we see immigration crackdowns, food goes rotten in the fields.
I'll use Gaston County, Florida as an example, and I'll be brief. $100 per day reduced to $50 per day because of foreign labor. That's it.
Yeah, man, I can't refute that, because I don't know if you're citing a specific example. I know you talked about it, but what I know is, like, from what I've seen in the area, is that, again, the issue tends to be finding enough people to do the work, not pay. Again, if you want to go and get that work and make a decent wage doing it, you can do it. Because again, I have good friends who do this for a living, and they do make a decent rate of pay.
I have a
sometimes
friend.
Pay well.
He's a drummer at my church. He was displaced because he wouldn't accept $75 a day. Remember, the immigrants were down to $50 per day. The reason why the immigrants went down to $50 per day, because the Americans had negotiated a deal that they would be willing to accept $75 a day. The problem isn't this feel good. So you're
Tim,
you're taking this point.
I'm curious. Are you against, like, farm automation too, like machines, doing the work of dozens of people? Because that also displaces people too, but it makes things more efficient and it makes our food less expensive.
What I'm against is this narrative that folks who want to feel good about themselves spew that we should allow individuals to come into this country and take jobs from working class Americans because it's the right thing to do.
All right. So, well, thanks again for joining us, folks, on A Free Solution. We're having a discussion on immigration. I don't know if we're going to continue talking about it next segment or not. We were supposed to talk about the Biden stuff, but we'll see. Thanks again, Tim Smith and Patrick Sweet from The Liberty Show for joining us here on today's episode. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Bongino Show, coming May 24th. AM 1040 Avon Rochester, FM 92.1 Rochester, and FM 95.5 Spencerport.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center for tonight. We'll be looking at blustery conditions, a few rain, even a wet snow shower mixed in the hills, down into the 30s. That'll clear up late tonight, so the weather will be nicer Saturday. Bit of sun, some clouds, still cool but dry in the 50s. A few showers will return, looking ahead towards Sunday. I'm Rich Cadilia, WYSL.
At Victor Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, Anthony Drive off Route 96 in Victor. Spring lease savings are big, like the 21 Jeep Gladiator Sport 4x4 Crew Cab, $219 a month for 42 months. A 21 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo 4x4 is just $269 a month for 36 months. Requires existing Grand Cherokee lease and be returning lessee. The 2020 Jeep Renegade Latitude 4x4 is only $159 a month for 36 months. Must be conquest or returning lessee. The 21 Ram 1500 Classic Warlock Quad Cab 4x4 pickup is just $159 a month for 36 months. Must be conquest or returning lessee. Use 2 Ram coupons while supply lasts. Lease through Ally. Jeep, America's iconic 4-wheel drive brand. $2,500 cash or trade and other conditions apply. Get full details from the dealer. Equipment and MSRP vary by model. We're here to fully serve Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram customers in Victor, Canandaigua, Macedon, Fairport, and throughout the Metro and Finger Lakes. Shop with confidence and safety and full CDC compliance. Victor, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, 6560 Anthony Drive in Victor.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Hi, this is Gary Mervis. For over 40 years, Camp Good Days has been there for children and families in our community. No family is ever prepared to hear that a loved one has been diagnosed with cancer. These diagnoses are still happening. Your donation will help us to give families the opportunity to form special friendships and memories through our many programs and services. You can help us to continue to be there for every child and family who truly needs us. Will you help us to continue providing good days and special times to children and families in our community? Make a donation today by calling 585-624-5555 or by visiting our website at campgooddays.org. Thank you.
Smith Lumber and Hardware Center in Lakeville offers Tommy Docks, designed to be the highest quality, most user-friendly do-it-yourself dock system on the planet. Tommy Docks' patented hardware design delivers strength and superior stability to your dock. The system is completely modular, creating a multitude of different dock layout configurations. Whether standard dock design or custom setup, the Tommy Docks system makes doing it yourself easy. Available at Smith Lumber and Hardware Center, Route 20A in Lakeville.
Order now and get your dock in early. Yes, it's Turnbull tune-up time for your air conditioning system. Whether you have an attic system, a ductless wall mount system, or even a conventional central air conditioning unit attached to your furnace, call Turnbull today to schedule your appointment to save energy and money. If you need a new system, Turnbull can provide a free estimate to meet your comfort needs and budget. Call Turnbull today, 343-2005.
You'll be comfortable with the best. Turnbull Heating and Air.
In Avon and Livingston County, call 226-6180.
Dispatch Custom Milling in East Rochester carries metal or steel cutting blades, Lennox, Sterling, and MK Morse bandsaw blades from 1/4 inch wide to 2 inches wide, with many in stock. Sharpening service available. Visit dispatchcustommilling.com.
Red Wings Radio.
This is Josh Wetzel, voice of the Rochester Red Wings. Keep up to date on the Red Wings weekday mornings following the local news all season on the WYSL stations.
A free solution.
Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today. Thank you so much for joining us. We're here live on WYSL, which means that you can comment in online. If you're listening to us on A Free Solution, the Facebook page, A Free Solution, the YouTube channel, or on the Kevin Wilson Facebook page as well. We're all those places. But shout out down the line to our friends over at WACK out in Newark and WENY, the Patriot, down in the Southern Tier. Appreciate y'all being here today. We're joined by our friends from The Liberty Show. Tim and I and Patrick have been going back and forth about immigration, but we did want to talk about some of the Biden stuff because I feel like that's important too. And I'm going to let Patrick jump in with that. Patrick, did you see any of the stuff coming out with what Biden is proposing in his not State of the Union speech, his joint address to Congress, and the new $1.8 trillion spending package he's proposing? Have you had a chance to look at that? And if so, you know, what are your thoughts about what the Biden administration is trying to do?
Well, fortunately, I was traveling, so I didn't really get a chance to sit down and watch it. But what I did find interesting is I wake up the next day, and CBS has got a poll out that says that 85% of Americans felt that Biden's address was great, was wonderful, was whatever. And I was thinking, 85%, when do 85% of Americans agree on anything? You know, we would be laughing at those kind of approval rates for Vladimir Putin or Saddam Hussein or any of those characters. So I thought that was a little strange.
Well, Patrick, go ahead.
But the spin that I guess that they're running from the Biden address is that he's going to be doing a lot for the middle class, for working families, and so forth. Sounds like he's going to spend a lot. But you contrast that with what some of the other things he's doing is consumer prices are up 4.2% since March. So it's costing working families, middle-class families, more just to buy the things they need to support their families. He's going to increase corporate taxes. They don't pay them. That's a big myth that these evil corporations, and in many regards they are, that are going to ever pay these taxes. They'll just pass it off to you and I, so we'll end up paying for them in the long run. But the two things that I also have heard that he wants to do is he's going to increase the capital gains tax to 43%. So I know that a lot of times says, well, that's a very Republican thing to, and I don't really consider myself a Republican, but that's a very right-leaning position take. Not a lot of people are investors or things like that. But an awful lot of families do rely on 401ks, and many people rely on those for retirement. So to Biden to go after those is a big concern. He's doing some things with real estate, which I think Tim might be able to explain a little bit better. I don't know anything about real estate, but he's doing some changes there, which are really going to impact those whose livelihood depend on that. But to go back to the capital gains tax, when you think about blue-collar workers, cops, firemen, government workers, they oftentimes have pensions. And depending on how those pensions are managed, are they in a money market fund, or how are they being managed? So if Biden does increase this, and that's a big jump to 43%. Reagan did that as well, and it did not go well. It actually get people pull their money out of the market. The market it shrinks. It starts to go down, obviously. So that was, see, we're hearing two things. I'm getting at, we're hearing two different things. We're hearing that he's the champion of the middle class. He's the champion of the working class. We all know that's BS. But an awful lot of Americans are hearing that and believing it when what he's doing is very counter to their prosperity, to their financial liberty. So that's really the juxtaposition of what what we're supposed to believe he's doing with what he's actually doing. It's pretty galling in a lot of ways, and just really, really surprised that an awful lot of people think that he's in their corner and he's helping make ends meet for their families.
Yeah, Patrick, tons of great points there. You know, and I do want to because I want to get back to that 85% thing, because I read that too, and I was like, that doesn't seem right. It turns out what the poll was, it said that 85% of the people who tuned in to watch it live, they thought he did a good job. Now, this is a very self-selecting audience. Who's going to be super excited to turn on the Joe Biden speech? They're political nerds and loyal Democrats. That's
well, Kevin. One of the things I also noticed was that yesterday, 11.8 million viewers tuned in for Biden. That's very low. That's like the Oscars were. The number of people who tuned in for the Oscars are historic low. And what I thought was surprising is you read the headlines today, it's magically 24, 25, 26 million people. So, you know, it makes you really wonder what is going on where we can't even get accurate and truthful statistics. If no one watched the Biden address, so be it. He needs to do a better job outreach. You don't lie to the American people and say, oh, no, wait a second. 2 days ago, those numbers were wrong. Here are the real ones. It's like straight out of the 1984, the book 1984. So those two things, I know it's a tangent, but those two things in lieu of his address were some of the things that I noticed just trying to catch up and see what he talked about.
Yeah, and you know, I want to get to some of your substantive points too, because you know the capital gains tax is an important one, because the way it's always framed, right, by the progressives is like this is just something going after the super rich and the people who are making these capital gains incomes, you know, of I think he said like over $1 million or more. You know, we're just going to attack those. You know, it's only a small percentage of Americans, but to your point, you know. You're right. Like these things have bigger impacts on the economy, bigger impacts on the value of stocks, bigger impacts on like massive funds, bigger impacts on like the retirement savings of blue collar workers. Who are counting on the markets to give them an income after they've retired, because Lord knows you can't count on Social Security. You can't count on the government to take care of you after you're done working.
It's like death by 1,000 cuts. We're getting bled every which way you can, and your head is spinning just trying to keep up with things. And it's really you feel like you're kind of in it alone here, because the government is that they see you as like a pay pig essentially. What can we get? What can we bleed from the everyday American, middle class, working class? The super rich, they've got the best accountants going. They know where to hide their money, how to avoid taxes. They're going to be just fine. It's us that don't have the financial luxury to hire these accountants, or maybe just don't have the knowledge. I'm not the best in money markets. I'm not the best. I don't even do anything in real estate. So we don't have luxury of a leg up of how to circumvent what the government is doing to basically bleed us each and every day. So it's really disingenuous for him and his administration and his friends in the media to go out and say, hey, everybody, hey, Americans, here is your middle-class champion, Joe Biden, when he's not. He's the exact opposite, and he can pretend to be that, but it's really, really angering to see just the spin that is coming out to try to deceive Americans and just get us complacent, right? Just either get so frustrated, you unplug, you disconnect, or you buy into the garbage we're hearing, and you just keep towing the line that he's our man, and he's going to make my life better. When you look 3, 4, 5 years down the road, and your prosperity, your financial liberty is a lot worse off now than it was just a few years ago.
Yeah, and Patrick, it's a great point. You've got to look beyond like what the fluffy promises are too. And actually, what kills me about this speech too is he keeps talking about like, oh, we got to make sure that we're not going to be increasing the deficits. We're just doing this so everyone pays their fair share or whatever. Like, listen, this is going to impact average Americans too. Like this, you may not see it immediately, but to some of your points, corporate taxes. Yeah, you raise corporate taxes. And he didn't call it a tax raise. He called it tax reform. Nice little spin there. But yeah, raising corporate taxes, the capital gains taxes, and some of the other stuff that's going to be coming out. It's ridiculous to believe him that this isn't going to impact deficits, that this isn't going to have an impact on inflation and taxation later on. Of course it is. His whatever he calls it, the American Jobs Plan, is a $1.8 trillion plan after spending another couple $1 trillion on COVID relief, and then you have the infrastructure bill too, which is another couple $1 trillion. It adds up. How are we supposed to dig our way out of this? You either wait for the system to collapse, or eventually do your taxes. Go ahead.
You said it right there. The collapse is so when they print all these bonds to pay for these COVID bills. You got the first one that already happened. He's got another green energy one or whatever. Who's going to buy these bonds? Who's going to earn the interest on them? And that's the big question that no one seems to want to ask is who exactly is funding this spending? And you want to talk about a collapse. Well, if you're a foreign rival or someone like that, and you want to manage a country's decline without ever firing a shot, well, look what's going on right now. We're spending ourselves into oblivion, and it would be a nice question to ask as well, who's holding the receipts here? Who exactly is funding this? And then if you ask that question, you'll probably get some inconvenient truth, and that might make a lot more sense as why we're doing the things we're doing, considering some of the ties these politicians may have to folks that are maybe out there globally. So that's I'll leave it at that.
Well, thanks, Patrick. We got to get to a break now. So thanks so much for joining us here on A Free Solution. We're going to be back in just a few minutes.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Hi, my name is Ryan Bourne.
And I'm Danica Bourne.
And we're the owners of South Coast Tax. We would like to thank our Lord for protecting us from evil. Psalm 91 states, "He is my refuge and my fortress, for he will rescue us from every trap and protect us from deadly disease."
South Coast Tax are Christian-based tax accountants and attorneys who specialize in releasing bank levies, wage garnishments, and filing complex tax returns. We are the leaders in acceptance of offers and compromise with awesome results.
We are also a small firm who will treat you like family and not just a number.
Call us today at 1-800-TAX-1176 for a free consultation, and we'll take the time to explain all of the programs that you qualify for in order to allow you a fresh start.
In John 8:36, so if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. And one way we can achieve that is by being debt-free. So let us help you today. Call us at 1-800-TAX-1176, and together we can help achieve this goal by putting the IRS tax debt behind you for good. Again, that number is 1-800-TAX-1176.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at SimpleTech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, SimpleTech Innovation should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A-plus Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
A free solution.
Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today. Thank you so much for joining us. I think we've covered the Biden stuff. I asked him if he wanted to weigh in. He said that we got this covered. And we're just going to do Fake News Friday stuff. I forgot to ask my producer to put the Fake News Friday theme on, but we're doing Fake News Friday. I only get to do this like once a month now when I have you guys on. Oh, there it is. Yes. Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it. All right, so we got Fake News Friday, and I got a couple headlines here for you. So we'll start with this one. I saw this going around Twitter. I think I saw it on some conservative headlines too, and it says Joe Biden says in his joint address, no one should have to choose between a job and a paycheck. Tim, real news or fake news?
That's got to be real if it's coming from Joe Biden.
Sounds like a classic Biden gaffe, right? Patrick,
I
what do
mean,
you
he's
think?
a career politician. What do you expect?
Got to be false. He couldn't have said that on live TV, right?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. It's sort of true. It is taken out of context. He said the clip I kept seeing going around is Joe Biden saying no one should have to choose between a job and a paycheck. But the full quote is, no one should have to choose between a job and a paycheck or taking care of themselves and their loved ones, a parent, a spouse, or a child. He was making his case for his paid family leave program. So, but out of context, it declares, I mean, that would be something that Joe Biden would say. You shouldn't have to choose between a job and a paycheck. All right, so that's what I got for my first one. Tim and Patrick, either of you guys got a fake news headline?
I got one.
All right,
Go
for it.
True or false? Late Thursday night, Maricopa County 2020 election auditors have found 10,000 previously uncounted Trump votes, or enough that would have given the state of Arizona to Trump in a 2020 presidential election. True or false?
Oh, that's a tough one because I saw something about that, but it is open on my Chrome reading list to look into that. There's some truth in this too. I feel like it's, I don't know. I feel like it's fake, but you're probably gonna tell me it's real, so I'm gonna have to look into it. But Tim, what do you think?
That's got to be true. We know that our elections are regulated. That our elections are true. Trump lost, and this is what they tell me on CNN. So it has to be true that Trump lost.
All right.
Well, it is false. It was Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Georgia. Vote counters have found thousands of previously uncounted Biden voters after polls closed on November 3rd. So you guys are right. That was false.
False. All right. Tim holding it down for CNN. He's a big CNN stan here. Trust the
Love
mainstream
CNN.
media. No matter what. He's got a poster of Wolf Blitzer on his wall. You guys can't see it because it's radio, but just trust me. That's real news, not fake news. Sorry, Tim. Tim, you have a fake news. I broke him.
Okay, so mighty 4-year-old wins wild noodle bashing battle of hundreds of Joshes. An adventurous 4-year-old was the surprise winner in a massive, wacky brawl Saturday among hundreds of Joshes armed with pool noodles. The goofy event, organized by a college student on the chilling fields of Air Park in Lincoln, Nebraska, was aimed at finding a single vicious Josh to stand for all Joshes. The victor was Josh Vincent Jr., hashtag Little Josh, still armed with his red pool noodle, who was awarded a plastic trophy and a Burger King crown that quickly flipped over his eyes. Asked for any words of wisdom, Josh replied, "I fight everyone." And the crowd roared.
All right, Patrick. Is that real news or fake news?
I would say true.
True. I think it's true too. I know the Battle of Joshes took place. I didn't see who won. I hope it is Little Josh though. Did Little Josh win?
Little Josh won. You know, I had to Google this and make sure this is actually a thing. There is a battle of the Joshes. I am totally astonished.
Yeah, that's right. Someone just Facebook messaged a bunch of Joshes and is like, all right, we're going to determine who is the Josh now. And sent a location, and hundreds of people showed up. And then, yeah, they had a big fight. It's great. And I think they raised money for a charity, too, which is awesome.
Wow, that is awesome.
Yes, I love when people do cool, fun internet things like that. Not all the news is terrible. All right. I got another headline for you. You tell me if this is a real headline or a fake headline, something I made up. Chuck E. Cheese's music is legitimately great and surprisingly anti-capitalist. Tim, real news or fake news?
Oh, that's
Is Chuck E. Cheese making anti-capitalist? You think it's fake? Chuck E. Cheese is not making
fake.
Anti-capitalist music.
I mean, they have a mouse as a mascot who draws in little kindergartners and first graders. Clearly, this is an organization that is pro-capitalist.
Patrick, is this real news or fake news?
And it was anti-capitalist. Is the Chuck E. Cheese music? That's what you're saying?
Yeah. Is Chuck E. Cheese making anti?
That's true. You look at what the kids are being taught in school these days. I would say that's probably anti-capitalism is seen as a good thing to propagandize the young folks. So I'm going to say that would be a soundbite that's probably true.
All right. So this is a real article. It is in Slate. So, take it for what it is. That they have a whole article explaining how Chuck E. Cheese's music is anti-capitalist, and how there's parts of the songs that are, challenging the authority of his bosses, and talking about the plight of being in a working class situation in a pizza parlor while trying to get your band off the ground. So. Take it for what it is. A Slate article, so take it for what it is. I don't know that you can be anti-capitalist when you're running, basically a child casino. That's what it. But yeah, let's be honest about what it is. It's kind of a child casino. Like I love it. I'm gonna take my kids there, when he's old enough to do that. But let's call it what it is.
And a band would be a pretty good example of a capitalism on micro scale, right? They're competing in a marketplace, and if they offer goods and services that a group of people want, they pay tickets for their music or to see them live. So I would say that a band, the Chuck E. Cheese band, is an excellent example of capitalism.
Exactly. I mean, like this, their product is inherently capitalist. You go there and you have your, I don't know. I haven't been to one in a while because my kid's like 8 weeks old, and I don't have any young cousins anymore. But like they used to have the big animatronic robots and whatnot, and that's who you'd pay to see.
Kevin, I got to ask, what 20 something Marxist living in New York City wrote that article?
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is. A guy named Alex Marcus, who guess where he lives. Guess where he lives.
I just told you where he lives.
He lives in Brooklyn. He lives
Brooklyn. I knew it.
So of course that's what it is. Good call there. All right, so we are running out of time. So glad that you guys could join us today, and so glad you could participate in Fake News Friday. Again, we have Tim Smith here from The Liberty Show and Patrick Sweet from The Liberty Show. Make sure you listen to our episode on immigration. It's going to be on WYSL Saturday and Sunday at 7 p.m., or you can catch the podcast either at WYSL1040.com or just search for podcast for The Liberty Show. So, Tim and Patrick, thank you for being on.
Thank you, kind sir.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. All right, folks, have a wonderful weekend. We'll be back next week with more from A Free Solution.